Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. This is the FX Pocket Chronograph version 2. Overall dimensions are 48 by 58 by 33 millimeters, which is 1.8 by 2.2 by 1.2 inches. Overall weight is 76.2 grams, which is 2.69 ounces. The chronograph uses a Bluetooth interface and it's compatible with iOS or Android apps. The app name is FX Radar, and of course the chronograph is using Doppler radar to measure the pellet speed as it goes away from you. It's unaffected by lighting conditions and makes it far easier to use in all types of outdoor weather. FX recommend putting the chronograph as close to the barrel as you can, and actually the further back along the receiver or barrel you can put it, the less the cosine error for the accuracy of the measurement. You can mount the chronograph if you want on the air tube somewhere like this, but it will depend exactly on which air rifle you're using as to whether it's going to fit best. But to be fair, with rubber bands here on the moderator, it hasn't affected zero at all, and it's given me absolutely accurate readings immediately without any problem whatsoever. The on-off button on the side here glows green when it's switched on, and it does go auto off after a little while to save on the battery. The unit charges with a USB-C cable which is included. FX include two mounting brackets. One works with rubber bands to fit over any cylindrical object like a moderator or the barrel or the air cylinder. The other one is a Picatinny mount, and that means you can place it back further onto the side of the action on a suitable rifle that might fit that kind of product. Velocity measurement range is from 91 to 382 meters per second, which is 300 to 1250 feet per second. And the power source is a USB-C power cable which is supplied.
973, 1034, 1044, 1053.
Well, you've seen me using it on both an air rifle and a 2.2 rimfire, and to be fair, it's been very easy to use. It's supplied with two mounting brackets. So the mounting brackets are essentially the rubber band one you've seen here on the sound moderator on this air rifle, and I use the same thing on the SAC moderator on a 2.2 rimfire. There are some little things to just be aware of with that, but it's also supplied with a Picatinny mount. So if you've got an FX or something like that with the Picatinny rails on the side, you can mount it to the side, because it does tell you to make sure you keep the chronograph as close to the line of the rifle as possible, as close to the line of the barrel, because it reduces the cosine error, effectively the angular mistake that's inherent in the fact that you're measuring the speed of something going that way from over here. So there's an angle involved, so the closer you make that angle to the rifle, the more accurate that measurement. It's not something you need to massively worry about, it's just a little factor that you're aware of. Now, I could have, if this was the longer HW air rifle, put that on the air cylinder and used it there, and it does make sense to angle it somewhat to make sure it's in line with the barrel if you are using it behind. But on the moderator itself, of course, you are inherently in line with the bore of the rifle, and it's worked really easily. The control lights on the side work fine, the charging's been no problem, and turning the unit on and off has also been straightforward, and the auto off works beautifully. It does go off if you leave it, forget it, it'll go off, so you won't lose your battery. And of course, with it switched on, and of course once you've got it set up with the app on, it will detect it virtually instantly with Bluetooth. So using the app's fairly straightforward, and you can set up various profiles within it to make sure you're getting the most accurate data for your projectile. The most important thing, of course, to put in is the pellet weight, so that when it correlates the velocity with the pellet weight, it gives you an exact readout of muzzle energy. You can have that read out verbally with the actual readout itself going live with the actual output from the chronograph, But the only thing is, it does tend to give you a slight lag and a delay on that, and I think it's better just to have the actual muzzle velocity out verbally and look at the actual muzzle energy afterwards, because within the limit you don't need to know that much every shot when you're tuning and testing. You're actually testing for consistency of velocities and things like that. So we can set up custom profiles, we can get a whole array of statistics displayed on screen. So you've got the shot count, number of shots left in the magazine, depends if you've got your magazine set up as well. I think I had that set up for a 5-round magazine actually, so it shows incorrectly there. Your high, your low, your average, the actual extreme spread and the standard deviation. These are all things that when you're tuning an air rifle, you're probably going to want to look at in detail to minimise for the greatest long range accuracy potential. Looking through the different shot strings, you can save different shot strings. You can look at all the saved shot strings you've got here, so you might be testing with different projectile weights, different pellet brands, and you can keep a record of it all. And you can set that up to share, so you can copy it to clipboard, send it an email to your PC if you want that. But I think that these days a lot of people are working with apps on phones. Pretty much that is all they want to use. Looking back on the main menu screen here, we can add a custom image. You can put, maybe a picture of the gun you're testing it on, or the actual target you've actually produced with it. Again, working through the app is the hobby in itself with items like this. I personally use them just for giving me accurate velocities and easy, consistent measurements. And we'll talk about that in just 1 second. Looking through the app, you can set up the different devices for this FX app. So, I actually use the True Ballistic Chronograph the most because I'm doing it a lot with centerfires. But of course, this app's applicable with most things. You can set up different units. So you might want feet per second, meter per second, joules. You can swap from meters to yards. You can swap from Fahrenheit to Celsius on your controls. Audio, you can choose what it's actually telling you. So the primary reading for me is it reads out the muzzle velocity. The secondary reading would be for the muzzle energy. But as I've said, if you have muzzle energy read as well, there's a lot to say in the time it takes between shots, and it doesn't specifically matter that one shot to shot for me.
11.9 700 14 11.7 700 20 11.9.
Magazine empty warning is it's just telling you if you're going to be near the empty end of your magazine. That's entirely down to personal use, and of course if you've got one of these mounted permanently on the rifle and you're using it every single time you shoot, yes, that could be useful to you. Calibrate is an advanced factor, and you can actually put in a slight correction if you've got what you believe are better velocities, so you can add a percentage correction to that. The options menu allows you to add things like location-based weather factors, which would rely on the GPS of your phone or smartphone you're using. Some people might be using it on a tablet as well. Tablet gives you obviously a larger screen to see it on, but of course the verbal thing is very, very useful. Finally, in the app, you can see the screens for the FX Pocket Chronograph V2, and it gives you a full instruction manual actually within the app, so you can see that, and it tells you all about using it in terms of how to set it up, and it allows you to read up the instructions which you might not have with you. And of course, if you're out in the field using this, not in the workshop at home or in your kitchen or something like that, it allows you to have a good look at things and just check you're getting it right. To be honest, I've actually found it completely simple to use. It hasn't given me any problems at all with any of the readings. The app is a little bit more complicated, and you do need to spend some time setting that up and getting used to it, getting used to the menu systems and how it all works. And you can see that just in the time that's done, that's actually gone auto off to save its battery. And if I just hold that button down, it should come back live, and it has done. And that is really good because it makes it so useful and easy, and you're not waiting for things to connect with some kind of additional menus every time. It's straight in use. There is a small instruction pamphlet supplied, and it gives you basic setup instructions, and it's also got the QR code on it to allow you to get the app very quickly. And of course this covers essentially what was also in the app menu, with a couple of brief pointers here on exactly where to put it and how to get the best from it. For example, where not to put it, as in right on the tip of the barrel, and actually where to put it in sort of close proximity, because of course as well as the actual proximity of the chronograph to the bore line, how far forward or rear would you put it also affects that cosine angle to make sure you're getting the most accurate reading. So it doesn't actually want to be any further forward than is actually required. And back at the action here, it's clearly been designed by FX to complement many of their own rifles which have got the Picatinny rail on the side. Put it on permanently, and it's there as your permanent shooting assistant for people who are tuning all the time. That's not to say it's not extremely useful for any other airgun shooter or any other rimfire shooter, because it will record up to 1250 feet per second, and I found it just as easy to use on the 2-tube rimfire as I did on the airgun. Well, thank you to Sportsman Gun Centre for sending me the FX Chronograph. I will put a link in the description so you can go to FX's website, read all the information on it, probably download the app for yourself as well and look at that, because there's a lot more on the app than I've covered. You can do data tables, you can do all sorts with it, so that might be something that particularly appeals to you. Anyway, thank you for watching that review. Please like, subscribe, comment, and don't forget to click the notification bell to keep track of the regular uploads. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.